Don't worry about what the SSR is telling. So apart from these 5 things, 2 more things get added on when the discussion is going on. Remove that notion completely. It is a consensus solution which you should be arriving at. In case you are not able to complete your story. So writing is different and the way you speak is different. So hello my dear friends and all the aspirants who are very keen to understand the whole SSB process. Today in this video, I will be covering the whole aspect of Stage 1. And as you all know, Stage 1 is a very critical aspect to the whole SSB process, because this is the time where all of you are showcasing as to whether you are accessible or not. So let's start. So for all of you, let me tell you that Stage 1 process happens on the first day of your SSB. Like early in the morning, you're coming and you do your documentation. So about an hour or 2 hours after you have reported, your documentation is over. Thereafter, the Stage 1 process starts. So this is the process which is going on presently due to the COVID times. So earlier, what used to happen was you used to come in the evening and you used to stay put, and all the documentation would be over in the previous evening, and the next day the Stage 1 process starts in the morning. So there could be a chance that from the time that this video is uploaded till the time that Corona thing is still there, that the Stage 1 happens on the same day that the documentation takes place. So let us understand the nuances of Stage 1. So Stage 1 comprises of 2 in number things. One is obviously the OIR test and the second is the PP&DT part. So what are these? So the first, let me explain to you what is an OIR testing. OIR testing, as you all know, is Officer Intelligence Rating Test. Basically an IQ based test in which we check the IQ. So what the test consists of are basically 2 tests of about 60 questions each, and in which you have to cover it in about 17 minutes each. So the questions could vary anywhere between 45 to 75. One would be a verbal set of questions, one would be a non-verbal set of questions. What I mean by verbal and non-verbal is, for example, if it's a verbal test, it would be A, B, C. What would be the 4th alphabet? Obviously, it's D. So there will be options given to you, multiple choice, no negative marking. And you will have to choose the option which is D. Non-verbal test would be a circle, a triangle, a square. What would be the 4th object? Obviously, it's a pentagon. So that is the non-verbal part in the IQ. So these are the 2 kinds of tests which would be done, and this course will be calculated and using an OMR sheet, and then you will be given an OIR rating from OIR 1 to OIR 5. OIR 1 being the best and OIR 5 being not so best. And based on your OIR, the Stage 2 happens. So when we are starting with the Stage 1 with the second part, that is the PP&DT, we actually don't know your OIRs. So these 2 are independent of each other while we are testing. While we are taking the final call on your selection, then both the results would be combined and then a call to be taken whether you should be screened in or screened out. So what happens in this PP&DT part? So let me explain to you. PP&DT is called as Picture Perception and Description Test. As the name suggests, very clear. So there's a picture which is shown to you. You are able to perceive the picture correctly and thereafter describe it. That is the whole game. And PP&DT consists of 3 number sections to it. One obviously is this place where the picture is shown to you for about 30 seconds and thereafter it withdrawn, and thereafter 4 minutes are given to you to write a story about it without seeing the picture. So what we do is we give you a sheet of paper, a blank sheet of paper with a small box made on the left hand corner. And basically in that box you will have to write 4 things. What is it? The number of characters, their approximate age, what is the gender and what is the mood. Next, what you are supposed to do is, once you do that, thereafter in this blank sheet you will write the action as to what the theme is about that you are going to talk on, and thereafter write in about 80 to 100 words what is the picture that is shown to you, basically the situation, what led to the situation, and what is the most likely outcome of the situation. So once you do it, thereafter you go to the next phase of narration and discussion. So we divide the group into 15 each of all the candidates. 15 to 20 it can happen depending upon the number of people who have come for stage 1. And thereafter you will be taken to a room where you will be sitting in a semicircle, and the 3 assessors would be sitting there. They would be judging you. So what will make you do is talk for about a minute as to what you saw in the picture, namely the number of characters, their approximate age, what is the gender, what is the mood, what is the most likely situation, what has led to the situation, and what is the most likely outcome of the situation. As soon as the first person stops speaking, the next person in sequence automatically start telling his or her story. Like this we continue till the time we reach the end of the group. And as soon as the last person stops speaking, you automatically start a discussion among yourself and try to come to a consensus as to what is the most likely situation, including all the things that I've told you. You will be given enough time to discuss on it, and thereafter you will be coming up into a consensus story, and we may ask one of you to explain to the assessors what is the final story that you have arrived at. So that would be the procedure. Now the next question obviously is the most important question as to what we look at these things. In this 2 part, that is the narration part and the discussion part. So in the narration part, we will be basically looking into 5 major things. Apart from all the other things, there would be many things. Whatever you want to is seen, we will be able to see. But basically 5 major things we would be focusing on. The first being your power of expression, your communication skills, your fluency, your diction, the way you speak, all these things. The preferred language is obviously English, but my suggestion is don't be hindered by in case you are not good in English. So try to work upon your grammar, try to work upon your tense, try to work up on the way you speak. So these are the important things in case you want to improve in this area. Once you do that, about a minute you will be talking on this. The second thing that you will be looked at is the confidence level. How confident are you when you are narrating your story and during your discussion? The third thing that we'll be focusing on would be the perception. And this is a very, very important thing in the sense that this is a starting point whether you have been able to see the picture correctly, perceive it correctly. So this is where a lot of people go wrong, where they go with preconceived notions and they perceive only the characters. They don't see the emotions, they don't see the background. See, one of the most important things in perception here is the background. And the instructions would be given to you. See the picture carefully, right from left to right, top to bottom, left hand corner to right hand corner, all the things. The background makes an impact. That is where it is understood whether you have understood the picture correctly. We can understand that whether you people have understood the picture correctly. And here I would like to tell you, if there is a negative emotion which is seen, please write negative emotion. If there is an action being seen, write the action. Don't try to dilute. Don't try to be unnecessarily be positive. There's one more area which a myth is there. You have to be positive. If the picture is negative, how can you be positive? You have to at least perceive the picture negatively. Thereafter, you can make a positive story. And this is when we talk about positive stories. It doesn't mean that you put other people down to look yourself as positive. Unnecessarily. You're putting people down. The other character in the picture. So hero identification is important. Perception is important. What do you mean by positivity? Understanding what you mean by positivity is important. So these are the things that would be taken when you're writing, when you're perceiving the picture. The fourth thing that we see here is the theme, that is the story itself. What theme have you brought in? Whether it is relatable to the picture, whether it is from your experience or is it from a preconceived story which is a standard story, what we call as hardcore repeaters. What do you mean by hardcore? See, whatever story or a picture is shown, the story will be same. They will have to have a challenge, they will have to have an action, they will have to have a... Stop doing all that. My advice to you all people would be natural, be spontaneous, be creative, be imaginative, and be actionable. So these are the important things to be taken into consideration when you are making the story. And the fifth and the very important aspect in the narration that we see is your delivery. The overall impact that you have on the group. and obviously to the SSS, your body language, with the way you speak, the elements that you have brought in, how you have introduced the story, what are the elements that you have used. Like for example, if you want to use I see Ram as a 25-year-old boy who is working in an MNC. See, why do you want to, if it is relatable to the picture, you can put it. Otherwise, who is working in so-and-so field, directly you say. See, in the field of IT or whatever, depending upon the story. Why do you want to write that word? See, the how you bring about the like an MNC, or he's a mechanical engineer. How does it work in the whole story? If he's a student, then understood. But if he's working, then why do you want to say it is a mechanical engineer? I'm just giving you one example. Like this, you will have to contemplate hundreds of things to be taken into consideration. So my suggestion and advice would be, this is very, very important, that you be natural, see the situation, relate yourself to the situation or your experience, and thereafter make a story which is acceptable and the elements that you use in the story. Okay, these are the 5 major things. And one more thing which is a myth is, sir, SSR keeps telling next, next, next. So my suggestion for that would be, don't worry about what the SSR is telling. Concentrate on what you have to do. So he would tell you about a minute. My suggestion would be, take about 50 seconds. Try to finish off just before the time so that it doesn't stretch. And even if the SSR is saying next, let him do his job. You are continuing, let him take a call on you. You continue with your story for about 45-50 seconds. Okay. Next comes the discussion part. So apart from these 5 things, 2 more things get added on when the discussion is going on. What are these 2 things? One is the participation level that you have in the discussion. From time to time, keep giving your inputs as to the consensus story which is emerging. Don't give up when the fight is going on. At the same time, don't be the disruptor which everybody talks about. Sir, what is the fish market which is going on? See, how do we handle the fish market? See, you are part of the fish market. So you will have to moderate out there. Don't put the blame on others. Sir, others were talking. You have to be assertive. You will have to continue to talk from time to time, putting your point across. Create a situation out there and keep adding on. My suggestion would be there. See, finally you will have to come to a consensus. It is not, one more myth which is there is, it is not your story which has to be accepted. Remove that notion completely. It is a consensus solution which you should be arrived at. If it is not happening to your solution, add elements to it and try to come up, be the positive force in the whole group. Be the constructive person in the whole group who is trying to come up to a consensus and to the consensus story. And that is where the second part which we look at, your overall contribution to the group story. And one last piece of advice in the discussion, if you are nominated to be the one who has to give the consensus story, ensure that it is a consensus story and not your story. So you have to do active listening, very important aspect, which if you have seen my earlier videos of OLQs, I have talked about how important active listening into the whole gambit of group discussions, wherever it is happening. So that is a very important aspect of active listening we should be concerned about. So please go through that, which I have talked about earlier in my videos. And one of the important aspects which will again come up in the stage 2 will also be this active listening part. Okay, so my suggestion would be that. And one more thing which I want to tell you, in case when you are writing the story, when the picture was being shown, in case you are not able to complete your story, so you can do so when you are narrating your story. Don't give an incomplete story. Finish off your story when you are narrating it for 1 minute. And in case some minor adjustments have to be done in the way you speak and what you have written, please do that. Because we all know that writing is different and the way you speak is different. So utilize the time between you writing the story and your phase 2 of narrating it. See, the time that you get, see, as to how you are going to speak. Utilize the time there, because writing is different, speaking is different. So you will have to focus on that so that when you speak, you become that effective person. And again, you should not be a disruptor, but however you have to be an assertive person when you are in the stage 1. And you will never be able to get your own 10 seconds or 15 seconds to speak. You will have to create that situation in the stage 1 to be able to put your point across in the discussion level. And I hope this would help you in understanding the whole gambit of stage 1 and the screening process much better. However, if you have any doubts, please put your comments in the comment section below. We will be able to answer it. Subscribe to our Instagram channel. You can write a message to us. We will be able to help you understanding the screening process much better. And I would certainly suggest there are many other aspects to the stage 1 and to the whole personality as such, and which we can discuss when you join us. So that is one aspect which I would like to. So take your call, use this to your advantage. I hope it has been helpful to you. You can subscribe to our channel, you can share it with others, click the notification so that these videos will keep coming from time to time, so that it helps you to be better prepared for the SSB. The whole endeavor in this series of videos is to better understand the whole process of stage 1 and stage 2 also, which we will be covering in the future videos, so that you are better prepared and you can get screened in, because only when you get screened in, you can show your personality in the stage 2. And one last piece of advice is, don't worry about too much about all these things. Find out your methods of getting screened in. That would be my final. Whatever I have told, yes, you can keep it in mind. But if you have found out your own methods of getting screened in, use that, because you know yourself as a person. What is advantages, what are your strengths and weaknesses. Use it to your advantage and come up with a solution as to how to get screened in, so that we can assess you in stage 2. Thank you very much. Nice talking to you. Thank you for remaining till the end of the video.